For the last video in our Systems of Equation unit, I decided to do something a little bit different. For each of the problems that you're going to see, you're going to want to pause right after the problem is displayed. I'm going to say something like the equation and variables, and then I'm going to show that answer. I'm going to wait a few seconds, and then I'm going to say the solution. So instead of a traditional lesson, these are examples. And because of that, notice it does say on here, there will not be a your turn now, because the whole point of this video is to give you more practice problems so that you're prepared for Friday's quiz. So again, I would suggest pausing the video ahead of time, and I will reveal 2 chunks of each problem. I'll always first say the equation and the variables, and I would suggest once you figure that out yourself, you watch that part. Because if we have the wrong equations and variables, you have to start all over again. Example 1. Actually, excuse me, before that, there are 3 important questions to answer, and the first 2 bullets I will address first, and the third bullet I will address later. It's always what are my variables and what are the 2 equations that I can write. But it's also important to know what strategy is most efficient. Remember, substitution is very efficient when you can get a variable isolated by itself, and elimination is efficient when both equations are written in standard form. Now for example 1. Example 1. Again, I would pause and try to solve this yourself. And in about 5 seconds, I'm going to give you the first part of the answer. Variables in equation are right here. I used C to represent cost, M to represent months. For this equation, I chose substitution. Now, I did not give you a substitution question like this before, but I do want to point this out because I remember earlier in the year, these types of questions did stump us. Since both equations are already solved for C, I'm doing something called setting them equal to each other. If 30 plus 90m is C, and 120 plus 45m is C, that means 30 plus 90m is the same as 120 plus 45m. Now, one thing I want you to notice about when you see my work is that I only solved for one variable. Now, I further went ahead and made sure I was right by checking to see that, okay, good, they both give me $210. That's good. But the question only asked for months, so I only wrote that part down. That doesn't mean I didn't finish it. So we're going to go on to example 2, and again, you might want to pause it after you see the problem for a few seconds. I'm going to go through the equations and variables, wait a few more seconds, and then show you the answers. Example 2. Variables and equations, right there. 8c plus 12g equals 364. 1c plus 4g equals 93. In 5 seconds, I'll show you the rest of it. I chose elimination because they were in standard form. And I actually only had to change one equation this time. So I found both the gingerbread cookies and the chocolate chip cookies, and I did write my check this time. When the numbers are big, a lot of times I would prefer to do that. Example 3. One thing I did leave out, and I apologize, is the perimeter is 176. I think I accidentally deleted that sentence. But you can hopefully see the 2 equations. This is similar from a question earlier, so in 5 seconds I'll let you know what strategy I chose. I chose substitution, and I also did check my work. I'm going to go on to the last problem in about 2 seconds. Example 4. variables and equations. In about 5 seconds, I'll show you my work. Zoom in a bit, sorry about that. Thank you for looking at these problems. Remember, tomorrow you do have a quiz on systems, so please make sure you've looked back over your notes, maybe tried some of the videos again.